And we are live. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello there.
So we are here to celebrate the birthday of Mr. Bram Stoker, author of Dracula, by watching the adaptation of his book that his widow tried to destroy, which...
Yeah, the history of how it was nearly destroyed is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. But we're going to wait for just a few minutes before we start it because we may have some other folks joining us. So whatever you want to talk about until then, feel free.
No problem. Before we begin, shall we say, hi, Art?
Folks joining us. Art. Whatever.
Well, how would you like to kick off this Nosferatu conversation, or just chatting?
I always thought Nosferatu looked like a bat. Well, not a bat, a mouse. Count Orlok.
He's a rat, really. Surrounded by rats. He kind of represents the plague, to be honest.
It's one of the inspirations for his design, the fact that it was based in a time of the plague-bearing rats. So they wanted to homage it. So they designed him a bit more rat-like.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Nosferatu the movie, we do have to thank one anonymous German that it exists.
The one person who kept a print of the film, is that it?
Yeah, and then sent it to America when it was... Because the judge who sided with Bram Stoker's widow said every reel of film, every copy of Nosferatu needs to be gathered up, brought to this place, so it can be burnt. But one German decided, no, I'm going to send this to America. And it became a cult classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, it really is one of the best adaptations of the text. It's just very faithful to sort of the core story, but it's its own very otherworldly thing.
Yeah. Especially since it added its own thing to the mythos, because in books, sunlight really doesn't do much. But in the movie, sunlight will kill a vampire.
Right. This is what really set that as a definite thing in the books, and this kind of got brought back when Bram Stoker's Dracula was made. Sunlight just disabled your powers, more or less. It didn't kill you. It didn't incinerate you. And once Nosferatu happened, every Dracula adaptation and every vampire movie was having vampires disintegrate in sunlight.
Yeah. It got so ingrained in pop culture because of that movie that it's become a main staple of the vampire culture.
Yeah.
One of the few adaptations I've seen where vampires don't burn in the sun is Being Human. Both the UK original and the US version, the vampires don't burn in the sunlight.
I do need to see that.
The worst example of vampires that don't burn in sunlight, Twilight.
Now, why'd you have to bring that up?
I know.
Twilight in itself is the scariest movie ever made.
Yeah.
Alfie, I'm not going anywhere. I can't go anywhere. Do you want a wee-wee?
Hi.
Alfie, look. You're on TV.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Now that you're on screen, you're not even looking at us. Okay.
Oh, no, he's looking at the TV, so he's looking directly at you.
Oh.
He's like, who said my name? Oh. Do you want to go outside quickly? Okay. All right. I will take him outside quickly.
Okay.
Ooh. Right. Come on then, you puppy. Come on then, you puppy. Healthy. Wee wee. You going for a wee wee?
Your dog's getting in on it now.
Yep.
Yeah. She does every stream I do. I don't recall asking for kisses though. Come on.
Awkward silence. What do you guys want to talk about? Hey, John Steele.
Awkward silence. It's like deep waves. Everybody's like, "Can we talk? Are we allowed to?"
Talking of vampires, I have this like little like sort of web series I made.
I saw that.
I'll be putting up this week.
I'm excited for that because didn't you say it was sort of inspired by the format of the Carmilla web series?
Yeah. Like he's like a vampire telling his long 500-year life.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, my dog decided to give me one of his favorite play toys, so I thought I'd show you guys because it started off as a Nemo from Finding Nemo. It's Frank and Nemo.
I love it. Beautiful.
Oh, he loves that thing.
All right, so John Steele is asking if you guys prefer the original F.W. Murnau Nosferatu or the Werner Herzog remake. I prefer the original, but I get the appeal of the Herzog version. It's well done.
I think the only one that I've seen where it's got sound and is the Shadow of a Vampire with John Malkovich and Willem Dafoe.
Right.
With Nosferatu,
but that's not. I don't think that's a remake though. That's like how they made.
It's a faux behind the scenes type thing.
Yeah.
For me, it would have to be the original.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the original as well. You can't. Not to say Herzog's version isn't good because I do like it, but the original is just so much more appealing and visually, gives me more of what I want in a vampire movie.
Yeah, it has this otherworldly tone to it that you lose a little bit of that with the Herzog film. They explain a little bit too much.
Exactly.
And the vampire doesn't have this kind of. There's a lot of sort of special effects and weird artistic shots that they do in the original film that, by modern standards, should seem hokey, but they've got this sort of surrealistic power to them that I like.
Yeah,
right.
And if anyone speaks to me for any length of time, like you guys have, you will know that when it comes to benchmark movies where they set a precedent or it has an epic story behind it, I'm going to love it. And unfortunately, the original Nosferatu has all of that. It was a benchmark movie, first of its kind, and the history behind how it was made and how it survived. It's a treasure.
Oh, Ty is bringing up the Dracula adaptation where Dracula does have a mustache. And are you thinking of Jess Franco's Dracula? Because yes, Christopher Lee's Dracula does have a mustache in that movie, and it does follow the beats of the original book pretty well, but it kind of feels like all the actors are sleepwalking through that one. They got Christopher Lee as Dracula, and he's good, but then they got Klaus Kinski as Renfield. They got Klaus Kinski as Renfield and didn't give him any dialogue or anything to do, really.
Yeah, whereas he would have had the great voice to actually do Renfield a little bit of insane justice.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't use it.
He just kind of sits there.
That
Bram
was a
Stoker's Dracula as well, where he has a touch.
that was
Very old
a
one.
bit of a disappointment when I saw that, and Kinski was just kind of as meek as a dormouse. I was like, that's not Renfield.
Yeah, if you're going to hire an actor to play a role, let them play the role. If you're going to hire them, let them do their job. Don't take away the one thing that they're good at, well, the one thing that they really excel at, and say you can't use it.
Yep. Hello, Collector Man. And of course, Ben Grimm is here to antagonize me and tell me that vampires suck, because that's what he does.
But technically they do suck. Unless
but
the ones that
he never says vampires suck because so that I can't make that pun at him. He just goes vampires, which I always reply to like this. I say the same thing, but instead of saying vampires, I say Ben Grimm.
That's okay. We're just gonna make him watch horror musicals for the rest of his life.
Arthur has a better response.
Ben, up yours.
And yes, we should just make Ben watch all the horror musicals.
And not just a good one.
What's the one he hates them? Oh yes, Rocky Horror. When Ben comes to hell, that's exactly what I'm gonna play for him.
Yeah.
Oh no! What we could do is just get in touch with every single university that has done their own production of a horror musical, their own stylings, their own writing. So it could be the most rubbish thing in the entire universe, and Ben Grimm has to watch every single one after the other until it's done.
Yeah, we should just lock him inside a theater, hire every Rocky Horror working shadow cast that there is around the world, and lock him inside the theater with all of them and have them all perform Rocky Horror over and over for him consecutively.
And Clockwork Orange him.
Yeah.
Oh, not on me. I'd watch Evil Dead the musical.
Evil Dead the musical is a thing, and I've heard it's good. I haven't seen Cannibal the musical. I hear mixed things on that one.
They try to do their best to make it comical, but it doesn't always hit, and the songs don't always come across as well tuned.
They did American Psycho the musical.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But that was interesting.
Yeah, a lot of hips be square in that one. Especially with the
Cannibal
acting
the
team.
musical, you can take it or leave it. It's just one of those movies. There's nothing great about it, but it's not the most horrendous thing I've ever seen either.
It's a mediocre movie that exists.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And Ben, I think Little Shop is great. I don't think it's not my personal preference over Rocky Horror, but I'm curious which ending you prefer for Little Shop, because there's a couple.
Yeah, there's technically 2 endings that were filmed and 1 ending that was planned but never filmed.
Oh, and I do really want to see Beetlejuice the musical, because I've heard the songs and they're really fun and I really enjoy them.
You hear that, people out there in the internet world? We need Beetlejuice the musical to be brought back, and Anthro needs front row seats.
I do. Ty, I have not seen Dracula on Broadway, but our local theater yearly does a Dracula stage production, and they do it as Theater in the Round, and it's always really, really epic because they manage to do all these great effects that work from every angle, no matter where you are sitting in the theater, because the audience surrounds the stage.
Now I will say I do like Little Shop, but it's not better than Rocky. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll give you that the plot it's a little bit more plot driven in some ways than Rocky Horror. Rocky Horror feels like sometimes just like this collage of a bunch of different musical numbers that kind of takes form into this story in some ways. It's a little bit more, it goes off the rails, but in the best way possible. Little Shop is a lot more linear, but I love just how much Rocky Horror just goes for the camp.
Yeah. I think if you were to put those two movies side by side in a concert setting, then you've got Little Shop of Horrors. They're the opening act. Then you have the Rocky Horror Picture Show as the main headliner.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, as much as I like Rick Moranis, you can't pick against Tim Curry.
Nope, not happening.
No. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Rick Moranis as an actor. But Tim Curry has made more iconic roles.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to get someone to play Seymour in a musical adaptation of Little Shop of Horrors, he kind of fit that mold from the beginning really well.
The skinny, short, white, nerdy guy.
Yeah.
He just fits that demographic.
Has anyone seen The Forbidden Zoo?
Yes, I have. That movie is downright insane, and I love it. I've always been a big fan of Danny Elfman and Oingo Boingo anyway, and that's kind of where they got their start, just doing their own really weird thing, and it's fun.
Yeah, I like that whole segment with him as the devil, and he's doing playing the beats to Minnie the Moocher, but adding his own words into it.
Yep, he's doing Minnie the Moocher, and that whole thing, the whole Minnie the Moocher Cab Calloway thing, was a big sort of template for what Oogie Boogie in The Nightmare Before Christmas became.
Yeah.
And not just Oogie Boogie, but if you've seen Corpse Bride, the character of Bone Jangles, also voiced by Danny Elfman, Remains of the Day is very much a Cab Calloway style as well.
And we have a fight in the chat between Art and Ben.
Ben is here specifically to attack me. This has been happening since he dissed my favorite character in Penny Dreadful. He's here specifically to antagonize me.
Ben is giving Rocky Horror a thumbs down, and Art's giving Rocky Horror all thumbs up.
Yep. Well, Ben is just giving me a thumbs down because that's what he does.
Oh, there we go. So when I put on the movie, it doesn't interfere with my microphone over here.
Where is Queenie?
I don't know, because Queenie said they would be here, but I mean,
it's getting to it's gone 8:30.
Yeah,
but it's a little bit earlier for them. They might still be asleep even. I don't know.
Leave it until 1:45, so it gives them 10 more minutes.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go and make myself a hot beverage.
All right.
I'll be back. Back.
Yep, we'll do 10 more minutes, and
it's just so that you're not overrunning too late.
And Queenie will be here when when they get here.
Yeah, it's just so that you're not running over too late. Because I know sometimes you usually schedule things so you've got time in the evenings to get stuff done before you actually get ready for bed.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah, it's a normal routine. I respect it. So yeah, we'll give Queenie 10 more minutes and then we'll start because you've got time is pressing, unfortunately.
Right.
Not to be mean to anyone, it's just time.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I have super pressing business to attend to today or anything. It's just some chores, and I like getting things fit in. So, and I'm willing to talk for a while after the movie as well.
Yeah, and me and Mark probably don't have anywhere to go into about 11. So, well, I know I don't.
Yeah, no,
so.
I'm pretty much free for the whole day.
Yeah, I'm free until I'm free for another 2.5 hours. So,
all right,
yeah, dude, don't panic. All right, so deep breath. We'll do it in your time.
Well, as the song from Fallen would go, time is on my side. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Which is it is one of the more underrated, supernatural horror movies that I really did enjoy.
Yeah.
Say that again. I'm sorry. I got distracted looking at my phone. I shouldn't be doing that. This is my live stream.
I was talking about Fallen and how the killer from the movie would always sing "Time Is on My Side" by the Rolling Stones. And I was like, it's one of the more underrated supernatural horror stories that I've seen in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that one actually.
You would like it.
All right.
You would. It's Denzel Washington and Elias Koteas, and I'm not much of a believer in Denzel in horror movies, but this actually works. It's really that good. I was surprised.
Oh, Ty brings up Dracula's Death, which is the earliest documented movie to even mention Dracula, but it is lost to time. And what I gather from that film is that Dracula in that really isn't much of a vampire. He's more of a Svengali style hypnotist who just sort of he drains people's energy that way. He's not actually a blood-sucking creature of the night, but it's been a while since I've looked at that, but I'm a bit of a Dracula obsessive, so I've got a bunch of books just on history of vampire cinema and Dracula adaptations, and a lot of people bring that one up, but no one really knows what happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, if it wasn't created and it doesn't exist, then we can't judge it for what it is. We can only judge it for what it could have been.
Well, it was created. It's just been lost.
Which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah. And the other movie that I'm so angry is a lost film, and we've talked about this before, is London After Midnight. London After Midnight does not exist anymore.
Yeah. I really wish that they could recreate that, but there's just not enough footage. There's not enough sound. It's just lost to time. There's a few stills, a few frames here or there, but that's it.
Yeah, the closest thing we have is, there's no actual moving footage. We just have stills. So someone recreated a version of the film with stills, and then Todd Browning remade it with Bela Lugosi and Lionel Atwill as Mark of the Vampire. Which is a great film, but I wanted to see Lon Chaney's take on the vampire.
Yeah, especially since he seemed to have taken notes from Jack the Ripper when it came to his design. Top hat, coat, razor sharp teeth, because in the mythos in London around here in England, there was a theory that Jack the Ripper was actually a type of vampire that had to eat the bloodier human organs in order to actually absorb blood.
Oh wow. Yeah, I've heard people bring up parallels between Jack the Ripper and Count Dracula as well.
Yeah, because it was a big theory and a big fear at the time that Jack the Ripper was actually a vampire that was walking around gutting women and eating their most bloody organs to survive.
Wow.
Some people say that Jack the Ripper was performing some ritual sacrifice.
Yeah.
And he kept getting interrupted all the time. And then the last woman he murdered, what the name, did Mary Kelly or something? I believe that he, she was the last one he killed because he actually got to do what he wanted to do, which was spread her all over the place.
Unfortunately, I can kind of see where the logic from that comes from, but if you're going to do that, then why go after ladies of the night to begin with? Because you had flop houses, drop houses, places where you could get a female victim all on their own and they wouldn't be able to get away.
Unless he's a copycat and he stopped after 3.
Well, there is a big theory that one of the murders wasn't actually by Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Mark, you're taking my job.
I'm never going to be that grandiose with a burp, Deacon.
All right. So I trust you all got the link to Nosferatu that I sent.
Yeah.
Yes, mon capitán.
All right. So have you all got it pulled up?
Yep. You
Yep.
You count us down and we'll press play because I've got Overture on the screen.
All
I
right.
casted it onto my telly.
Nice. I actually haven't given the link to the version we are doing to the chat, so I'm going to give them just a minute to do that.
Good idea. Join us while watching so you can enjoy our banter with context.
Art gave me a 3 out of 10 on my burp, an A for effort.
That was my effort. Oh.
All right. There is the link for everyone who wants it. And
join us.
Just whoever is here in the chat, let me know when you are ready or if you are doing it, and I'll just wait for the chat, and then I will count down and we will start the movie.
Sounds like a plan, my good man. Just remember, dear chat, you will be 10 seconds behind us due to lag, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Oh, we have Ethel here.
Hey, Ethel.
Ooh, hello, Ethel. How are you?
Hello, Ethel.
Oh, she likes your orange shades, random.
Yeah, thanks. I always wear these glasses. I got a few different colours, but I thought,
Yeah, no, they look good, and they actually match your shirt as well because you got orange writing on your chest and you got orange glasses, so it matches as you go down.
Yeah, well, it was originally red, but it's faded over time.
Marvel has. Just Marvel in total has faded slightly over time.
All right. So Ben seems to be ready. Collector Man seems to be ready. Is everyone else ready? I posted the link to Nosferatu in the chat if you would like to watch along with us.
No, not a problem. All you have to do is say when.
Right, well, when?
So if you count us down, we will press play.
gonna wait on Ethel for just a sec.
Not a problem. We have time. There is no rush. And it is a classic, so we're not going to be giving out spoilers, are we?
Exactly.
No.
Yeah, if you haven't watched a 100-year-old movie, then there's a problem.
I mean, I'm sure there are lots of modern horror fans who won't touch the silent era at all, which is a shame.
Yeah. Anyone who really wishes to know about horror, watch some of the silent era stuff, because then the sounds, the noises, the speech, it's all in your head. It's in your tone, so it's more personal.
Yep, it's all about the visuals and the soundtrack, because a silent film deserves a good score written for it. And that's the other thing I love. There are lots of different scores written for the same movie.
Yeah, you could pick up one version and it would have a score that is okay, passable. Then you pick up another copy of the same movie and it's got a score that makes you sit there going, I'm so invested. It's emotionally getting you involved.
Yeah. All right. Ethel seems to be ready. So,
Ooh. Aye.
So, everyone is ready. So, on my count, we will start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
I like the overture.
Yeah.
Overture.
And this version of the film, I think this is the original score written for the movie when it came out.
Yeah, the Edmund score. Awesome.
This ironically is not my favorite score for the film, even though it is the original.
Yeah, you can tell that they're trying to make it as eerie as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least it's got overture screen so you can chat for a bit before anything really happens.
Yeah.
My favorite score for the film was done by a group called the Silent Orchestra, and it's not a traditional symphonic score. It's this weird mix of traditional Gothic sounding music with weird synthesizer and modern stuff, and it adds this otherworldly edge to it that I love.
Yeah, here we go. Nosferatu. Bram Stoker.
I've still got to remember that I've got to make a fan edit of this movie where every time it's a blue scene, it goes, I'm blue, double D, die.
And I love finding the parallels as to what the name changes for each character is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pop out chat so I can also read the chat as we go. Ha 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 ha. There we go.
We've got all these character names, and then we've just got a ship captain, Sailor 1, Sailor 2.
Sailor 2.
They only had a budget for the ship captain's
They
name.
only had budget for character names for the top billed cast.
On the account of the great death in Rustburg.
Yep.
And Domini, 1838.
And they made up the town of Brisbane for this movie. It is a conglomeration of a couple of different actual German towns, I believe.
Yeah. Does someone have the volume playing on their one?
Someone might, if you could turn it down just a tad, it might be clipping the audio just a bit.
Yeah. There we go. I can actually hear people now. Yay!
But Deacon, you were talking about soundtracks that sounded okay on one but great for others. I think you have to one of those that I would say is like that is the different soundtracks for Suspiria.
Oh yeah, the amount of soundtracks that come out with that movie, depending on which distributor you got it through, depending on which soundtrack you got.
I mean, well, the remake and the original both had great soundtracks, but Goblin for the original was you can't.
Yeah, did they distribute the original Suspiria with a different soundtrack?
Yeah.
Oh my god, how? That music is Suspiria.
It's because people sit there and go, okay, the movie is free in this domain, but the soundtrack isn't. Okay, remove the soundtrack, put our own one in. Now it's perfectly legal.
Ew.
So, yeah, depending on where you got it from, depending on what soundtrack you got. And in one of them, it's kind of like 1970s pop.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of have to see that now just to...
You just want to punish yourself.
We knew that one was...
It just sounds like a bizarre train wreck. I need it.
Yeah, it's like watching the Wizard of Oz in reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. A nice example is it got ingrained in my head is, in the original when she's doing the ballet dance and everything starts going wrong for the one being tormented.
Uh-huh.
All right. Instead of having the nice orchestral music that goes with it, that puts you in the atmosphere, you have something that is more like da 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 da.
Huh.
Yeah, that kind of music.
Right.
So it just completely doesn't work because you've got happy, chirping music while a woman's dancing herself to death.
I mean, that contrast can work in some contexts.
It doesn't in that one. It's just
certain...
Yeah, you can understand it in some circumstances, but with that, it just didn't meld well because it was more Americanized music with something that really doesn't strike you as American. It strikes you more as out there in European territory.
All right, everybody give their attention to Knock, our amazing Renfield character for this movie. He just chews the scenery in the best way possible.
I think when they were filming this, wouldn't the director talk them through everything that's what they need to do in that?
Well, if I remember correctly, it's when he's trying to eat bugs and stuff like that, where he's just snapping at everything around him. I think that's probably where scenery chewing comes from.
Uh-huh.
It would surprise me if it did.
Yeah. And in this scene, I when I was young, I was just fascinated by this document that he's reading that just has all these weird, like, seemingly alchemical and occult symbols on it. And I would try to figure out what the symbols were and just recreate it with a piece of paper in my house. I was that fixated on this movie when I was just like a little kid.
I don't blame you. I pretty much did the same thing. And when I got into LARP and stuff like that, I ended up using the symbols from this movie when it came to all of my spell drawings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, yes, I completely agree where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Here we see the head goblin from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Just him laughing and Hutter's smile just going away because he's already lost it at this point.
Yeah, he's already one step towards kind of like unredemption.
He's more than one step.
Yeah, you can tell just by the look on his face, he was beyond. He was already mildly crazed.
And those eyebrows, just all the acting he does just with his eyebrows.
All right.
And Ethel has said, so he was writing the rough draft of the Necronomicon.
Probably.
Could be, yeah.
Yep. And he's just like, oh, yeah. Yeah, just give this random count from Transylvania you don't know the nice deserted house right across from yours as I glare manically at you.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't care about your safety. As long as he's away from me, he can live across the road from you.
The way Hutter is just completely fine with this kills me.
Oh yes, by all means, put me and my future wife in complete jeopardy. I have no problems with that.
Yep. And he just rushes into his wife, and I'm like, I'm off to the land of thieves and phantoms. Goodbye. And expects her to be fine with that.
Exactly.
I know it's going to sound strange, but the way that Renfield does that and the way the office is laid out before he storms out and sees his wife, I don't know why, but I always think Scrooge and Bob Cratchit.
Oh my God, I see it. I see it. You're right.
Yeah, it's just that little way that they act towards each other. You've got Scrooge and you got Cratchit. He's getting ready to go to the land of ghosts and ghouls and the dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's literally saying, I'm away to the land of thieves and phantoms, and he's fine with this. Just out of the blue. Boss is like, one day, you go to Transylvania, sell this random count you don't know this house, leave your wife. It'll be fine.
I know people do that today, but you wouldn't literally go to your wife and say, I'm going to the land of the ghosts.
Yeah, and it's just like so unexpected, and Knock is just so clearly off the wall already.
Yeah.
The fact that he's fine with this is really funny to me. I know it's an expressionist film and it's a silent film, so they're a lot more exaggerated, but I love the unintentional humor that comes out of some of that.
No, I completely agree. And yeah, it's probably me just putting my own thing on there, but it adds a bit more credence to the Scrooge and Cratchit thing, because Cratchit needs to do exactly what Scrooge says, because at the time that was expected. If he didn't, he'd lose his job. So go to this country, because if you don't, you ain't going to have a job anymore.
Mm-hmm. So here we have Professor Harding, or just Mr. Harding, the ship owner, and his wife. I'm forgetting her name. I think they might have said Ruth, but this is Arthur Holmwood and Lucy from the book.
Ah.
Yeah.
And Lucy does not get bitten in this version, which is a subplot that I miss, but they really pared everything down, so the focus was really on Hutter, Ellen, and then Count Orlok.
Yeah, he had to, and they had to streamline the story when they were doing this and pick certain things so they didn't fringe in copyright.
Yeah.
The only reason they got done for copyright is because on the poster for the movie, it had nothing to do with the movie, but the poster of the movie said based on Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, and the opening titles say that too. So
yeah.
If they didn't include
all that work of changing everything for copyright reasons, and you still credit the guy.
Yeah, if they didn't credit the guy, it would have been taken as its own thing.
Until, but if Florence Stoker had still found it anyway, she would have been pissed off. It would have been a I mean, when Ethel did the worst witch stream before, it might have been a similar situation to that, except this is literally Dracula. It's not just the same template, it's the same story.
Yeah, it's not an homage. It goes beyond homage. It's replication with small changes. But still, it was that got the judge to say burn the movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this scene. This is where the whole trope in every gothic horror film ever, where the guy goes into the little tavern and says, "I'm off to the big castle on the hill," and everyone just starts glaring at you. That started with this movie, and it's been duplicated ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's become
bring my dinner. I'm on my way to Count Orlok's castle.
Yeah, it's become a trope at this point in every movie. You have to hit that point if you're doing this type. Otherwise, it's not this type of movie.
Mm-hmm. I went to see this movie with an improvised score on a pipe organ live a couple years ago, and it was by our local orchestra's conductor. He was playing the pipe organ, and it was beautiful. But when he got to this scene, he had kind of choreographed what he wanted to do, not the exact melodies, but he was playing this great melody up until he says Count Orlok's castle, and then he just went dead silent as all of the villagers started glaring at him.
Oh, that would have been perfect. That gives the people watching the tone that everything stopped. No one's chatting. No one's moving. They're just staring.
And here is the werewolf, played by a hyena.
Yeah. Okay. That's the smallest wolf I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the 1931 Dracula, there is a deleted scene which is unfortunately lost, where Dracula does turn into a wolf.
I know they mention wolf in the 31 Dracula, and you hear howling, but you never see anything. You see a bat.
Yeah. Well, there was that where it says, well, back then, when a scene was deleted in a film, they don't like keep it now like they do with DVD extras, and back then they scrapped it.
Yeah, it tended to be melted down and used to make heels or the rubber soles for shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
So many good movies ended up beneath people's feet, literally.
Yeah. What was I about to say? You mentioned 31 Dracula and animals. The thing I love about that is that in Carfax Abbey, and I think even Castle Dracula, you have armadillos scuttling around.
Yeah.
And no one really knew what an armadillo was, so they just thought, let's put these weird creatures in the castle and freak everybody out.
Look, he has armored rats.
Mm-hmm. Of vampires, terrible phantoms, and the 7 deadly sins. I always wanted to find a copy of this book when I was little.
And it wasn't until afterwards you realized it was just made for the movie.
Yeah, and then I was like, I have to replicate this myself. I've always wanted to make a replica of this little book from the movie and just fill in my own text.
If you've got the skill to do that type of handwriting, please do.
I don't know if I do, but I'd love to. But the other thing about the animals in 1931 Dracula is there is a shot near the beginning when the brides are coming out of their coffins where it's a little insert of a tiny miniature coffin and a bug crawling out of its own tiny little coffin. What is that? Why was that? I don't understand.
Illusion of a giant bug, I guess. Or that they turn into one.
It kind of works on the theory that a vampire can make a familiar out of practically anything, but that familiar usually has to sleep when the vampire does, or that anything can become a vampire as long as it drinks vampire blood and a vampire drinks its blood.
Yeah.
Okay, I love this idea that you put in my head that Dracula has just found this one random bug crawling out around his castle and was just like, just for kicks, decided to somehow bite it without completely destroying its entire body, then feed it some of his blood and create this tiny little bug familiar and handmade a coffin for it.
Yeah. He gets lonely. He had to have some kind of pet, but one that didn't require a lot of upkeep. So why not a
He
bug?
has 3 brides to talk to.
Hell, he doesn't want people to chat to. He just wants something to sit there and pet and go, yes, you do not talk to me. It is all good.
There is a hammer house horror that he does have found.
Yeah.
Although someone's going to have to make a webcomic about Count Olaf, well, about Count Dracula getting a small little bug and then constructing a little coffin for it.
I might make that webcomic someday. I mean, I wrote an entire piece of fan fiction that I'm going to be reading someday about what if all the characters that get bitten and never talked about again formed their own little group and went off on an adventure.
Yeah.
So I could write a little side story about Dracula's pet bug.
A little beetle he calls Clarice. I can just see him now with a little rhinoceros beetle going, "Hello, Clarice."
Well, at least he didn't bite a firefly.
Oh man, that's the other thing. I want to know how he puts the bite on this tiny little bug without completely crushing it.
He could have always fed it his blood, and it turned.
Well, that's the thing about the turning process. My understanding of it from all the vampire movies I've seen where that's a thing is, in order to turn someone, the vampire bites you and then feeds you their blood. So I would guess he would have to bite the bug first.
The way you get a ghoul or a familiar is by feeding it just your blood. It doesn't make it immortal, but it makes it subservient to you. If you wanted an immortal bug, he'd have to do the whole vampiric transference.
Yep, and now we've got the obstinate villagers who refuse to go over this movie's version of the Borgo Pass.
Ooh, what if he got a tiny, tiny needle, jabbed the bug, licked that, and then put some blood on the table and let the bug drink that? Technically, the transference took over.
Yep, I'm. So what? I don't know. You've got me hooked on how the vampires work now, because I've sort of constructed my own sort of mythology building off what they basically say in the Universal Dracula movies for my own little piece that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But vampirizing animals never really occurred to me in that context.
Yeah, they do it in Blade. What was it, Chihuahuas? Blade Trinity.
Yep.
I'm not going anywhere, Alfie.
Yep. Well, there was a...
Yeah, in Blade Trinity, they have the Pomeranians and the Rottweilers that are all vampirized.
Yeah.
Well,
although
here comes insane stop motion carriage driven by someone who is definitely not just Count Orlok with a big hat.
I'm here to give you a ride to the castle.
I have always wondered. I know in Shadow of the Vampire and the Herzog remake, he obviously does speak, but I've always wondered what Count Orlok in this version actually sounds like.
Probably mousy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could picture it sounding something like.
And here we have the bizarre negative shot where everything has switched. Another one of the surreal camera tricks that's kind of hokey but works.
Yeah, it gives you the idea that you are going through this strange area now where the normal world you have left behind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but now I've just got a feeling. I've just got an image of Count Olaf, just him in this movie trying to make a vampiric bug, and I just don't see it working.
Yep.
It's not that delicate.
Yep. Olaf or Orlok?
It's Olaf in this one, isn't it?
It's Orlok. Yeah. Olaf.
Yeah.
Olaf is the evil count from Series of Unfortunate Events. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Words. They evade me today. I've spoken too much. I've given diet.
Well, it depends on what kind of bug we're talking about here.
Quick costume change on Count Orlok's part. He literally just left the scene, and now he's back in a completely different place with a completely new outfit. Absolute legend in that respect.
See, this just makes it really weird, because if Count Olaf is the only person really in that castle, doesn't that mean that to keep up appearances, he's running around and changing outfits every day to be the driver, the servant?
Well, I mean, he always just says that the servants are either off duty or asleep, which Hutter believes for some reason. And then there are a few local villagers who will deliver things to and from the castle for him.
And Junebug has said, I would like to see somebody do a Graf Orlok movie that has no connection to Dracula. It's just Orlok movie.
I would like to see that too.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, there was a unofficial spin-off of the Herzog film starring Klaus Kinski, I think called Nosferatu in Paris or something like that, that is supposed to be really, really bad. So there might be that there for you, but I don't know how good it is. Knock yourself out if you want to watch that. End of Act 1. Right.
Act 2.
This little dining hall has always seemed, as creepy as this castle is, legitimately very inviting to me. I want to eat supper in front of this roaring fireplace with a creepy rodent vampire.
Yeah, I can kind of see the appeal.
And look at the food. It's just so ideal. It's picturesque in a way. I love that shot. That shot particularly, with him just looking over the manuscript. I've tried to duplicate that so many times in my own little
Yeah, I get the feeling that would definitely be a two-person shot.
Mm-hmm.
And Junebug has said, Nosferatu in Venice.
Nosferatu in Venice, that's what I'm thinking of. I've heard that movie is not great. The precious blood. The fact that Hutter continues to stay at the castle after this mystifies me.
Yeah. I can kind of understand why, because that's just unusual. Someone who, in that time frame when this was written and when this was filmed, cannibalism was a thing. So you would not really sit there and go, no, I'm going to stay in this castle where someone says, oh, my
Can
blood.
we not stay together a little while longer, my lovely man?
It's quite a long
And I
time.
sleep my day, dear fellow, completely dead to the world, because that's not suspicious.
What are you, a walking corpse? Well...
In a manner of speaking, and by that I mean literally yes.
Yeah.
And Hutter is just freaking out right now. And then when he wakes up in the morning, he's just like, it was probably just, I had too much to drink and I was a little feverish and had a bad dream.
You're a moldy bit of cheese, a bit of gravy that just did not settle right on the stomach. No, my poor doggo. He is now...
Get your ass in here. My servants are asleep already, goddammit.
Hutter, that looks like a really uncomfortable sleeping position.
What's up, Alfie? What's up? Do you want to come here? Alfie, do you want to come up here? Come here, then. Come here. Alfie, come here. It's all right.
I mean, look at the medieval tapestries on this wall. it might be a little decayed and mosquito ridden outside, but this castle is beautiful. I would live here.
Come here, Alfie. You can do it. You can do it. Oh, there he is.
Boy, after 10,000 years, it'll give you such a creak in the neck.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. Look, you're starting to shut. Look.
And he has been bitten, and he's not freaking out.
No, if anything, he looks happy with it.
He's going to give an excuse later on for what he thinks actually happened to his neck, and it kills me. I mean, look at this breakfast. That is a million different sweet things.
Yeah. It's kind of like, okay, we're going to make sure that your blood sugar level is way high.
And the way he just leans forward and grins when he sees the breakfast, too.
It's kind of like, I don't eat like this at home.
Mhm.
I'm going to savor every bite and make sure that my blood is as rich as possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right, Alfie. It's all right.
Oh my god. Ty, I had no idea that oh my god. That's really sad. Yeah. The actor who played Professor Bulwer, the Van Helsing character in this movie, died in a concentration camp, according to Ty.
Ooh.
I'm not entirely surprised.
I'm not either, but
It's still sad.
yeah. Here it is. Here it is. He's about to write his letter to Ellen and be like, everything's fine.
My darling.
Trouble that your beloved is far away.
My precious.
And yeah, there's just a million mosquitoes flying around this castle, which I love too. You can't really tell them apart from the film grain. The mosquitoes are a terrible nuisance. Two just bit me on the neck, side by side, quite close together. That's what he thinks that is.
Oh, yeah. Well, he wasn't employed because he was a good thinker. He was employed because he did what he was told.
Yep. He is not the brightest. I love that version of the Jonathan Harker character, the one that's not that bright, but he's just such a good person at heart. He's just the... I love that dynamic with that character. It's kind of funny, but he's still very likable.
Yeah.
What? You mean you don't like the Keanu version?
Oh,
Martin?
Ty, thank you. Thank you. I've been pronouncing it Bulwer my entire life. It's German, so the pronunciation is Bulwer.
Ah.
Oh,
Bulwer.
And if I mispronounce any other character names from this movie, feel free to correct me, because this is one of my favorite movies of all time, my favorite horror movie of all time, if I'm forced to pick.
I feel like I'm hiding behind my dog.
Yeah, I don't know if I could put Nosferatu that high. Not as my number one all time. No. Don't get me wrong. It would definitely be in my top three.
Yeah.
It would, yeah.
No, it's not for everyone, no doubt. But for me, it's one of the first I saw, and I just had this sort of hyperfixation on it for the longest time that's never really gone away. And there are movies I've seen more recently that I'll become more obsessed with and prefer to watch now. But this one has always, ever since I've been a horror film fan, been there as a movie that I love.
Yeah. And again, I would, like I said, I would definitely put Nosferatu in my top three. It's that good. I love it.
Yeah. Do you want to go for a wee wee?
Your wife has a lovely neck. Best line in the movie.
It's a beard back.
But there are two other movies that rank just a little bit higher, and they both have actors with the name
I'm
of
buying the house, that nice deserted house across from yours. Yeah, okay. Go on, please.
No, I was just saying that you, as much as I love Nosferatu, I would have to put Chaney in the Phantom slightly above it, just because Chaney did his own makeup and was just,
yeah.
Plus, the buildings in Phantom of the Opera were so good.
They
Yeah.
recreated basically all of the Paris Opera House on the Universal backlot, basically.
And then I cannot, if I'm doing top monsters of all time, I gotta put Cheney Jr. in as the Wolfman at number 1.
Yeah.
I love him. His movies have never really had that kind of. I never connected to them in that larger than life way I did to Karloff and Lugosi. He's a much more down to earth kind of working class guy, into the monster world character.
I can see where you would get that, because that was Lon Chaney. He was very, just like you said, very down to earth guy. Whereas
this is the scene that solidified my love of this film. This is the creepiest scene in the movie. One of the creepiest until the very end. We're about to get the big reveal.
Dun, dun, dun.
And the door opens by itself, which I love as well. There's just, yep, he's
And just-
bald. Surprise.
Surprise! I am a naked mole rat.
Just like in SpongeBob.
He feels the need to put a hat on to disguise that, instead of just being like, yeah, I'm bald, what of it? And Ty, that pisses me off. They destroyed the original opera house set that they used in so many great films, including, of course, both great versions of Phantom that they did, to create Harry Potter World.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the psychic connection between Ellen and Hutter, which I've always loved. I love seeing her walk along the railing of the balcony.
Well, there's one thing I can say about Harry Potter World at the moment. It must be quite lonely being there all by herself.
And Ty, tell me which F.W. Murnau documentary that is, because I've watched a lot of stuff on Murnau because I love that, but let me know which documentary that is, because I need to see that. This shot, I love everything they do with Count Orlok's shadow in this movie. The way his shadow seems to sort of do an extension of him, and he can use it to do things. He's not even visually touching any part of Hutter, but he's kind of just draining him with his shadow. I love that.
Yeah. It's as if the shadow is an extension of himself.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
It's much more symbolic, but also just kind of implies that he has these weird powers that bend reality.
So I liked how Orlok just turns around and he's kind of like,
Yeah, because he can kind of sense this connection between Ellen and Hutter, and it's a love story at its heart. He's kind of intruding on their love, and it's the strength of their love that's literally creating this psychic bond between them that makes him go, screw this, I'm out of here.
yeah, it kind of indicates that they're soulmates, that they are connected on that level.
Screw you, Count. I'm going home. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Or
yeah.
you can interpret it this way. He hears the voice of Ellen, and he's already become fixated on Ellen and her lovely neck after seeing her picture earlier. So he's just like, oh, Ellen, now I know where you are. I'm going to go take this long boat trip just to find you.
I know where you are, and there's more people there than here. Num 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 num.
Yeah.
No.
I heard call it the Death Bird. I know it's an interesting thing that the subtitles talk about the call of the death bird because there's so much rat imagery, but they always talk about Nosferatu as the death bird and spreading his wings, and there's some mixed metaphors going on, but vampires take lots of forms as well.
I think the death bird and description of that comes into play with the plague as well, because of the tradition of the plague doctors
You're
wearing
right.
the masks and everything to make them look more bird-like, and they became omens of death.
Those beaks were actually used to stuff like petals and nice smelling herbs, so
Yeah.
they don't have to smell like rotting corpses and stuff.
And it was also the theory of the plague was being produced by smell, so a more pleasant odor would mean you'll be less susceptible to getting it.
Yeah.
No, Junebug, I've never played any of the Nosferatu video games.
I had forgotten that there were Nosferatu games, because for a while I was just fixated on all media that is Nosferatu. I know that even in the comic book world, they did spin-offs of a lot of the DC superheroes inspired by classic German expressionist films. They did one combining, of course, Superman with Fritz Lang's Metropolis, and they did one crossing Batman with Nosferatu.
Yeah, I think for me, the closest I've gotten to playing a Nosferatu video game was Vampire the Masquerade, where you got to pick which clan you were playing.
Uh-huh.
And I chose a Nosferatu, and very weird playing a Nosferatu. They can't be seen by anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the fact that Count Orlok even tries to have any kind of social interaction with Hutter, and that Hutter is okay with him for a little while.
It's kind of like, I'm going to see if I can play with my food for a while, see if I can try and trick it into thinking I'm a nice thing before I go at him.
Yeah. Oh, and here is Count Orlok speed walking. I love this scene.
Because this is where he finally realizes that he is unnatural. There is something very off about this individual.
Uh-huh. Yep, and then the lid just closes himself. So he really is just doing everything in himself in this castle with his otherworldly powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ty, I love Orlok's claws in this movie. And the thing about that is he starts with just these little points on the end of his fingers, but as the movie progresses and the world just gets more and more infected by his presence, his fingernails get longer and longer until they really are these nasty, huge claws.
Yeah, it's as if the stronger his grip is on the world, the more power he can exude over it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Hey, Crips, we're watching the original Nosferatu. If you would like a link to the version of the movie we're watching and a timestamp, I would love to give you that. And if you just want to hang out for a bit, that'd be cool too.
Whatever you feel like doing.
Oh, Ty, I still need to see the Coffin Joe movies. I hear about them a lot, but I haven't seen any of them. The raftsmen were oblivious of the strange cargo they piloted downstream. They were like, 5 coffins, and we need to take them all the way to the ship. This is fine.
Yeah, we're not worried about what's inside them. I mean, we know that dead bodies can transmit diseases, but it's all okay. We're being paid to do it.
3.
We're getting paid how much? Oh, hell, for that type of money, I'll transport them bodies myself.
And going back to the whole Christmas Carol comparison, the thing with Count Dracula or Count Orlok is that he is a little bit of a miser. He has all of this power and money, but his castle is not a glamorous place. He just lets it crumble and reek of death. He doesn't use that money for anything except when he needs to exert his power.
Yeah, so we've got 2 Scrooge archetypes, one that embodies the money grubbiness and one that embodies the behavior.
Yep. And if you really want to take that comparison further, we're about to see Professor Bulwer, or Fulwer, my apologies, teach some lessons. But have you seen that it's that shot from the very end of Nosferatu with him recoiling from the sun in the window, but they put a Christmas display in the window instead?
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah. I'll send you a link to that game a little later, because that's me in November when they're trying to force Christmas down my throat.
Oh, I can kind of agree. I've done one Christmas jingle, and that was just wind up trash. And that was just for a little joke.
Mm-hmm. Ship set sail tonight.
It said sail onto the open sea.
And this is where the whole plague metaphor really starts to come in. And this is, I say this a lot, but this is really one of the creepiest sequences in the film.
Yeah.
Because it's no longer from Hutter's perspective or Ellen's perspective. It's from this crew's perspective.
And on a side subject, not directly related to this movie, on Shudder, there's a thing called Blood Vessel. The entire movie takes place aboard a ship that's transporting Nosferatu, and it takes place during the Second World War.
I've seen ads for that. It looks good.
Yeah, I'd recommend it if you are really into vampires and the Nosferatu mythos, because they try to copy everything and make it more grotesque from this movie. But just from this ship scene. Well, from the stuff that's on the ship. But then, Junebug, doesn't that mean we should call the Sesame Street character Garth Count? Because he's the Count. So Garth Count.
Well, that's the thing. I know, Ty, that is the German title for this kind of aristocrat, but Count is more Eastern European, but they literally call him the Count. They literally go to Transylvania. He's in Eastern Europe. So would he, I know that's more the German title, but he's not from Germany. He's in a German-made movie, but his character is from Eastern Europe. And here we have the Venus flytrap.
Oh, help me! Help me! Oh.
See, if someone really wanted to do a crossover, they take some of the original footage they take the original footage from The Fly and make The Fly fly into the Venus flytrap, and it's kind of the human head going.
Yeah.
Someone should make an edit of that where it is just Nosferatu, but when it gets to the fly scene, they've just taken the head of the fly from the original fly and put it on that fly.
Yeah. They actually referenced that in The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A spider.
A spider flies into the web and the fly goes, "Help me, help me."
Yeah, in a little
they
voice.
do that in Beetlejuice as well. There's a fly that tiny Beetlejuice in the model town lures into the little cracks and eats him, and you just hear the fly going, "Help me, help me."
Love that scene.
But that's the thing, Ty. He is an incarnation of Count Dracula, like it or not.
The director and the writer literally lifted the story from the book, Count Dracula. So it's more the German have gotten it wrong with their pronunciation for Count.
Yep, so here is
the Zagnut scene.
Yep, the Zagnut scene in Beetlejuice. Great homage to the fly there. And here's the little scenery chewing scene that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And here's Bulwer just comparing his different man-eating or
flesh-eating
plants to vampires and ghosts and things.
Yeah.
This one eats a frog.
Oh, we have a Trenchy in the chat. Hey
Trenchy!
guys!
Hey Trenchy! We're watching Nosferatu. If you want the link and you want to watch along with us, if you feel free to join us on screen. We are waiting for Queenie Todd. We're a little over halfway into the movie, but we'll chat for a little afterwards. And if Queenie wants to join us still, they will still come in. But if you want to be on screen with us, or if you just want to watch along in the chat, I will send you the link to the movie and we can give you the timestamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're all laid back here. People arrive when they arrive.
Yeah. And thank you very much, Ethel, for tweeting that I'm live right now.
He says, sorry, I got to run to the store, but I may be able to join for the after chat.
Yeah, no worries at all. Again, you guys, Deacon and Mark, you already watched this movie together on Mark's channel with Frenchie and Queenie and such.
Yeah, so I don't mind stepping out if more people want to join in later. So just let me know.
Oh my god. You two are just sitting here playing croquet while Ellen is out brooding on the beach and she's had a nightmare freak out where she almost fell off a balcony. You should be watching her more closely.
British stiff upper lip. Oh, she'll be all right. It's women troubles. Let's just play a bit of croquet. When we're done, she'll have calmed down.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about this. It is, it's the story, but these characters are not in Wisborg, German town of Wisborg, so they're German.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our croquet mallets.
Yep. And I love this just brooding beach scene as well. It's so sad. And you've just got all these little crosses on the beach, too.
Yeah, to symbolize quite a few things from the era.
And the fact that they caught it just at the right time of day, because this is a natural setting with the wind and everything.
Yeah, it worked really in their favor, especially with the sand blowing away from them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because back then they had to, rely on the natural lighting.
For the most part, I mean, before this, you had Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which was also an expressionist film, but they built basically the entire world on a stage for that. They built everything in that movie is extremely artificial. This is a lot of the same principles of expressionism, but in a very naturalistic way that wasn't typical of expressionism.
Yeah. It's more French expressionism, where they haven't relied so much on editing, but more natural lighting and scenery.
Mm-hmm. And it's almost impressionistic sometimes,
Yeah, with the way that they
blur things and
the way they play with your perceptions and the way that they play with camera angles to give you that otherworldly look.
Mm-hmm.
He is sitting there with a nurse going, "What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?"
And he smiles happily going, "Nothing, my dear. I don't give a damn."
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
And he's like, "No, I must go. I must get home as quickly as possible." And he's had most of the blood drained out of him, so I'm surprised he just doesn't immediately fall over on his face.
I just realized something, and I don't know if it's just me. Is it just me, or does he look like Newt, Commander from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them when it comes to his fashion sense, the hair going over, the slight.
A little bit. I
Yeah,
just rewatched that the other day.
A little bit, yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that now. I must be go. Ooh, face planting on the floor.
He opens up his suitcase and goes, I must go and check on my beasts. I'll be back later.
you know, I had a dream like when I was really little and I was still just watching the Harry Potter movies all the time with my family, but starting to get into classic silent horror. I had weird dreams where it would like blend the two styles and you would have Lon Chaney playing Voldemort and doing like he's something similar to his Phantom makeup to get rid of his nose.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be awesome. Can you imagine Lon Chaney as Voldemort?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
around that time I started basically fan casting what if Harry Potter was written in the 20s and was made as a silent horror movie.
If there was ever anybody who could pull off the Voldemort look, it would be Lon Chaney. The guy was amazing at creating faces.
Yeah, he's known as the man of 1,000 faces for a reason. And
Exactly.
And the simple fact that he made all of his own faces.
He even made a sculpt of his own face that he tested out the makeup on first.
Yeah, to make sure it didn't burn him or it didn't look right. Because I know he had to test it on pigs every once in a while, dead ones.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because he discovered some of the makeups that if you mix them together, it actually caused a burning sensation or chemical burns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he had to learn how to separate those ones.
I know some of his makeups that he did, just not in terms of like actual like paint and things, but just in terms of the way it would contort his face, especially with what he did for the Phantom. He would be bleeding on set.
Yeah.
Horribly.
Yeah.
Because he used to pull back his scalp and then use an adhesive to keep it in place. Not spirit glue, but an actual adhesive. So he had to separate his skin later.
Yeah. I knew they weren't a comfortable experience when he did that film.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that makeup has come a long way for modern actors, but I really wish they had that kind of back then in his time, so he didn't put himself at so much risk.
It's like Boris Karloff.
Yeah.
He'd sit for like 16 hours a day in the hot California sun in all that Frankenstein makeup.
Yeah.
And he would either do that or get fired. And because back then actors didn't really get the say that they do now.
Yeah. Back then.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You go on.
Oh no, you go on.
I was just gonna say later in the Frankenstein movies when it was Glenn Strange and they started just doing like a cast of the flat head that would sit on top of his head. So much sweat would build up just inside the flat head that like you would actually have a bucket of sweat pour out of that thing when he got out of the makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, back in the time frame when they were making those movies, any injuries the actor sustained were considered their own fault. So they weren't exactly covered. So they were always putting themselves at risk, and there weren't stunt doubles.
No.
It's what I like about some of the most silent movies, because you can sit there and go, this person who's hanging off this clock tower 100 feet off the ground, they're actually hanging off that clock tower.
Yeah.
I bring you a pony. Don't eat me. Eat the pony.
Fireworks?
There are fireworks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had fireworks every night for the last month.
Oh, the crew went quick. They didn't even linger on it. Everybody's just dead now except the captain and first mate.
The only reason they're still alive is because Orlok needed somebody to pilot the boat.
I know how to do everything.
He's about to kill them. He doesn't, though. The ship just steers itself for him.
Die! I command you. Oh, Klaus. Come back to me, Klaus.
You see here, you're gonna sleep with the fishes.
Oh, I forgot. He's about to go back. He's about to go below deck and see what's up. And this is my favorite effect in the movie. One of my favorite effects. I love all the effects. I don't know. I just love everything about this movie.
No, I don't blame you. The way it is designed, the way it's made, you can definitely tell that most of the people are actually going through this because that guy's acting like he's been on a ship for a couple of days going, I'm seasick. The rations are shit. I'm dehydrated. Just let me get this acting over with and move on.
I can't imagine how the cast and crew of Jaws felt.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right, but this effect, this is the one that really still holds up now. Watch this. Just watch.
Oh, yes. I know what's coming.
Oh my god, it's a box that bleeds mice.
Oh, yeah, and Ethel brings up, this is the origin of I'll be right back. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
This shot right here, just rising out of the coffin slowly like that with nothing supporting him. So good.
They don't do stuff like that anymore. There's no love for practical effects or for contortionism.
Yeah.
At least not in a lot of the major movies. There are still movies doing practical effects, but nothing like that where it's just cold focusing on. It doesn't even feel like a trick. It just feels like he's rising out of the coffin. I still don't know how they did that shot.
Oh, they did it with a springboard and an inflating bladder.
Gotcha.
So basically he's laying on it and the springboard literally stopped just above his buttocks. So the way he's standing stiff as he's rising, that's just muscle control. So he's being slowly lifted up that way by a bladder that's inflating behind him on a piece of wood.
At least the ship captain and the original Dracula had the sense to lash himself to the wheel with a crucifix. This guy just ties himself there with rope and hopes for the best.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm going to go down with this ship one way or the other. I got to steer it into port. I can't abandon my post.
End of Act 3. It's difficult to say how the weak and young Hutter was able to overcome all the obstacles of the trip home. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
How did you make that trip? Basically, just on horseback.
How did you also cross the ocean on the horseback?
I mean, oh, we're getting into my favorite scenes in the movie, my legitimate favorite scenes in the movie. I am not the hugest wrestling fan, so I don't know that much about it, but Ethel brings up that Aleister Black uses the rise out of a coffin gag for his entrances.
Oh, that's the Undertaker, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
No. Aleister Black is the Undertaker. Aleister Black is about shorter than the Undertaker is. Right. When he first debuted, yeah, he used to. They had a special rent up for him, and he would come up strapped to it, and he would be lifted out of the like he was rising out of a coffin.
All right. When it comes to wrestling, I'm pretty much in the same boat as Anthro. Never really took on with me. I just like some of the characters, and that was it.
I like the theatricality of it. I just never got into the actual event. I am sad that they diminished the roles of the Lucy character in this, and Bulwer is basically just a science professor who gets there too late to actually do anything. He doesn't really get the spotlight like Van Helsing does. And again, Bulwer. I know it's Bulwer. Sorry.
But yeah, I get the feeling that they had to cut that down because I didn't want to have too much in line with the book.
Yeah.
This movie is just one of those oddities where they were trying to make sure they could get away without the copyright, and then they ended up putting themselves flat into the copyright.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of Donkey Kong, the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did they get into trouble with King Kong or something?
Technically, yes. Basically, when Donkey Kong was coming out, the studio that owned King Kong turned around and said, "Excuse me, you can't use this gigantic ape and you can't call it Kong because we have the copyright and everything." It went to court. It lasted for about a year in the system, and then a judge turned round to them and said, in discovery towards the end of the trial, going, "You do realise, Mr. Studio people, that a couple of years ago you fought to have King Kong put into the public domain, so it can't be copyrighted."
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kind of got the last laugh on them.
Yeah. But it's
I've
still
always been interested by Nock and Orlok's dynamic in this because have they met before? Because, you know, he's just sitting here in this asylum and he's the law firm guy earlier. But he knows about Count Orlok. He knows what he's sending Hutter into, and yet you never really know if they've met or not.
Yeah, I think it was a part they had to cut for time because back then they couldn't make movies too long either.
Yeah.
That he was supposed to be someone who Orlok actually had turned into a ghoul and then
Look at that giant claw.
and then sent ahead of him to get England ready and to find the properties and to send a willing victim over.
Yeah. So, okay, first let's watch Nock try to strangle this guy. Anyway, but yeah. Crap. What was I about to say? Yeah, that whole subplot wasn't really a thing until Nosferatu. I feel like the Lugosi movie and even the Gary Oldman Dracula are really taking off of that whole idea because before that, Renfield was just a guy in the asylum who has this strange fixation on devouring life and comes under the influence of Dracula when he arrives in London. They don't have earlier time. This implies that, and then they go all the way with actually having Renfield travel to Transylvania in Jonathan's Place in the 31 movie. And then we have all of the rats.
Oh, rats! It's all the rats! Run!
Mm-hmm. I gotta wonder how the animal handling went in this movie.
I don't think there was any animal handling.
How did they get the hyena?
Back then in Germany, there were a bunch of exotic pets, and because of the looming war and the Great Depression, a lot of these pets were sold to the movie industry to be used as they saw fit.
Yeah.
Which means most of them didn't make it out of this movie alive.
Look at Count Orlok just sneaking around with this giant coffin, trying not to be seen.
Look, don't worry. It's not anything bad. I'm just carrying the world's largest.
Nothing to see here, folks. He's just sneaking around. His mannerisms are oddly endearing to me.
He's like, "There's nothing to see here, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing at all."
Yep. it's kind of creepy for its time and still creepy now in its sort of exaggerated expressionist way. But he's also kind of like a living cartoon character, and I find him kind of adorable.
Yeah.
I am not the hunter you're looking for.
Does this mean if I do a fan edit, I've actually got to put?
Ethel says that the hyena was most likely stock-footed. Do you think that's the case, or that they actually got a hyena for Nosferatu?
Probably stock footage, more than likely. The rats, on the other hand, real rats that would have been chased off the set soon afterwards.
Everything will be all right now.
Don't worry about a thing.
Happy.
'Cause everything's gonna be alright. So if they turn this into a musical, do you think that would be one of the songs in there when he starts saying "It'll all be alright"?
Well, that's the thing. There is a Nosferatu musical. I do believe that Maven of the Eventide has done a video on both this film and the Nosferatu musical.
Oh, I am going to have to do dive later.
Or at least she touched on both of those in kind of the same section of, I think she did videos on either different versions of Mina Harker or different versions of Lucy Westenra in pop culture, or she touched on both of those. And she touched on Nosferatu, both the movie and the musical, which is a little bit different in that it's not this repugnant Orlok character, I don't think.
Yeah, he's more like, has to be more social because he can't just be this vampire in the background singing on his own.
Yeah, he's much more of a romantic Count Dracula figure. And what's really interesting to me is that they make Count Orlok in the Werner Herzog movie so much more sympathetic.
Whereas you can tell he's not sympathetic. He's a parasite. His whole goal is to bring death, destruction wherever he goes, as long as he gets to feed.
Yeah, he's the literal embodiment of a plague in this movie. He is a death figure in this movie. He has more of a personality. Oh, and yes, Ethel, I really do want to see Orlok do jazz hands, please.
The best I can do is
And here's where everything gets very timely, because a pandemic is about to outbreak in Wisborg.
yeah, very poignant for the
I want to
times.
see Nosferatu bust out into "I'm just a gigolo."
Did you think
everywhere I go.
Do you think Bram Stoker and the director really thought that there'd be another pandemic in 100 years' time?
I don't think so.
I reckon we'll not get another one for 100.
But I mean, at the beginning of this year, people were joking about, in the early like 1820s and 1920s, there were pandemics happening at both of those times. So they were like, "There's going to be a new plague in 2020," and lo and behold,
a new plague.
Yep.
Yeah, they were joking about it, and people were even saying, "We need a new plague this year," as a joke. Be careful what you wish for, people.
Whoever
Well,
got
if it
this
happens
plague
in
upon
another
us.
100 years, it's not going to matter to us.
Yeah, because we'll be dead.
Yep.
Death, the only time where worries literally aren't a thing.
Yeah.
And on that depressive note,
Let's get back into the fun aspect of this movie, because we're about to have a really fun chase scene and the creepiest scene in the movie.
yeah, so let's get to the part where for some reason the captain always reminds me of a werewolf in half transformation with those huge mutton chops.
Oh, you're right. Oh my God, you're right.
He's got the Lemmy Motorhead mutton chops going.
Yeah, all he needs is a little bit of fur on the chin and the teeth, and then he's kind of like the basic Wolfman from the old style movies.
Yeah.
Sort of a Henry Hull look.
Yeah. So far we've got references to A Christmas Carol, references to the
Wolf,
Plague, and references to the Wolfman. Yeah.
And all would be, you know, be
references to the Fly. References to the Fly as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, every movie we just talked about would be made a few years after this movie.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it's just funny. You could sit there and go, maybe this movie helped inspire all of those other ones, just with little
did
bits
on
here
some
and there.
level, or at least influenced their making, because this really set a lot of the horror and the genre film industry in motion in some ways, even if it didn't directly inspire those films.
Yeah, this movie set the mold, and it was up to other people to either break it or put cracks in the mold to experiment a bit.
Mm-hmm. And I love the films that are kind of returning to form with this, because if you look at what Robert Eggers is doing with The Witch and The Lighthouse, he was fascinated with this movie at a young age as well.
And
brings a lot of that otherworldly atmosphere into those two movies.
Yes, you can definitely tell this movie, even though it might not be well known amongst people, its influence is everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I had to go back and watch Lighthouse because the first time I watched it, I couldn't get into it. But after I watched it, you know, a couple of times, it's not bad. I like it for what it is, but I always thought The Witch was the better movie.
You see, I'm not sure how I feel at this point, because The Witch was my favorite for the longest time. End of Act 4, by the way. We're into Act 5 of the movie. This movie has 5 acts so far. Do you think it would have 5 acts if they did this as a stage play?
No.
Intermissions in between each one?
They probably wouldn't do that. They'd have to stretch it out and probably have Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, just kind of to undercut the really bleak plague imagery we're seeing right now, going back to Robert Eggers, The Witch was my favorite at first, just because it has that dark folktale feel I like, and I just gravitate towards the witch characters anyway. But the really weird undercurrent of humor in The Lighthouse, with these bizarre characters coming to head with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
There's just some kind of unique magic that literally no other film has there. It's just weird and iconic on its own level now.
Yeah, it's the online chemistry between all of them as the movie progresses. You can tell they're actually having fun with it. And it's infectious. It draws you in.
Yeah, they're having fun on some level, but at the same time, where they were shooting, it was miserable and wet and cold and horrible.
Yeah, they filmed it on the original island where some of the folktales came from, didn't they?
Yeah.
I forget exactly where it was, but it was actually this seaside area where they built their own 2-scale lighthouse to film in.
In that case, it would have been across the pond from it, because there's a stretch of ocean between where the original thing happened and where they filmed it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the island where it originally happened, no one can live there. No one can spend more than a day on that island. And that's just because of the sheer wind, the topography of the area, and the simple fact that over the years, people have definitely seen strange things on that island.
Yeah.
Such as phantoms in the mist, or hands coming out of the ground, or voices coming from the lighthouse.
All right, here's my favorite sequence of the movie coming up. Or at least the prelude to that sequence.
I think we can all sit here and say this is your number one movie, really, isn't it?
Pretty
Yeah.
much. I mean,
Yeah.
there are other movies that I'll get more fixated on in recent times and just have obsessions with. Crimson Peak is one of those movies. Anna and the Apocalypse is another one of those movies. I mean, most of the Universal Monster movies have been big, and I'll kind of shift away from this movie and be fixated on something else for a while. But this movie has been with me throughout my horror loving or horror film loving life, basically.
Yeah.
So it is my all-time favorite movie. If it's not what I'm wanting to watch in that exact moment, this movie is still the one that I come back to always.
Yeah.
Nice. Definitely a good choice of movie to have close to your heart.
Yeah.
And I feel the quality of picture still holds up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can still hear it's doing.
I can basically look at the screen and I can tell you what pattern the couch has, what kind of chest they actually have, what lamp is there.
Yeah.
The film.
I mean, there's still a lot of grain to it, but the restoration that people have done on this is beautiful, because for the longest time it was so scratched up that you couldn't tell what you were looking at, which was creepy in its own way, but it wasn't this.
Yeah, it's subtracted from it because you'd be watching it and then you might miss a key plot line or a bit of dialogue because it's just scratched off.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, as I completely agree, the remastering that people have done and the amount of hours it has taken to remaster it into this final product is magnificent.
Oh, and here we get a little bit of the Lucy character having her own little freak out, I think. Or is that Ellen?
Call her nondescript victim too.
That's the thing. I can't. No, that is the Lucy character. That's not the actress playing Ellen, the Mina character. Oh, and here's Severs, the Dr. Seward character, who gets to do literally nothing in this movie.
Yeah.
He's asleep right now, so.
See, I can't remember. I don't know when Ethel put it in the chat, but she's gone, someone get Bruce Willis on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Yeah.
I think if you wanted someone who was sleeping in the bed, call what's his name? I can't remember his name now. He just does nothing but action movies, and they're bad.
Well, before
Check it
that,
out.
Ethel said, "Does that mean the asteroid is really coming?" So,
Ooh, that's a while ago.
yeah.
Asteroids, they're coming to kill everyone.
And here
Is this the same asteroid that killed the imaginary dinosaurs?
We're not on that again, are we?
Sorry.
Dinosaurs being an elaborate hoax planned by God to joke with the scientists.
See,
Yeah.
if we're following that, doesn't that mean that God is more like Loki?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the world. Do you not think this place is run by a trickster god?
Yeah.
Quite
Maybe.
It's definitely run by somebody with a cruel sense of humor.
It would make sense on that whole the Lord works in mysterious ways thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Ethel says, it was an Armageddon reference.
And Ethel agrees, totally a trickster god. Oh, and now they're like, Knock is the vampire. He's the scapegoat. Which, I mean, in other movies he would be. In this, he's not canonically necessarily a vampire. They just need someone to blame for the plague, so they're going after him. And this chase sequence is so much fun. in the middle of this really bleak, creepy film, we just get this high-key chase sequence and them throwing rocks at each other, and it's amazing.
Hello, I'm on the roof.
So if he's not a vampire, I'd like to know how he's so spry and stuff like that.
It might just be Orlok's influence spreading to him.
Maybe. But looking at him, I can definitely tell that an author who wrote Skullduggery took some influence from this movie.
Tell me more. I'm intrigued.
There's a character in Skullduggery that is called Spring-Heeled Jack. And
Yes, I know of that.
Yeah, and although he's based on an English character in basically mythology and folklore from the 1800s, the way that she's described him in the book for Skullduggery, his appearance and the way he acts, is more like Renfield in this. He's jumping around, he's manic, he wears tattered clothes, he's got a hunch, and he tends to skip when he's running.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's my favorite bit.
I'm hiding amongst the cabbages.
Just him sneaking around is the most entertaining thing. I could watch him just run away from people for hours.
I know, he just needs the comical cartoon effects for running around and popping up and down, just like magically appearing.
Well, here's my favorite bit of the chase.
Oh.
He's over there! Go get
Over
him!
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a scarecrow! Oh shit!
How did you not know that was a scarecrow?
Nuts.
It is not. It is way too static to be Knock. It is not
No, they're raggedy
really
around.
enough to be him.
And it also had too good a posture as well.
Yeah. Here's my favorite sequence. And there are some audio tracks for Nosferatu that will mostly just have score, but in these scenes with Ellen, they will add like gasping sounds when she wakes up, and it'll unnerve me every time because I'm not expecting actual sound.
Yeah, after an entire movie of no actual audible speech and then automatically hearing that would freak anyone out.
Yeah.
Come to me, my pretty, says the beast to the beauty.
Mm-hmm. And that's the actual soundtrack that they put on the Kino Lorber release of the movie, is the one with the creepy gasping sound effects.
Cool. See, I'm one of those people that when I first watched this movie, and most times I do watch it, there is no score to go with it, so it's just silence throughout.
Mm. I like finding as many versions as I can and finding cool new soundtracks for this.
I'm definitely gonna have to do the fan edit then, just to wind people up.
Do it.
Here, try this one. Then you got the Chevy Chase. Then you got Chevy Chase music as they're trying to find him.
I mean, my favorite soundtrack for this is the one done by Silent Orchestra, I think I mentioned. And during that chase scene with Knock, they really amp it up. There's just a million percussion instruments going, and there's rattles and there's whistles going off, and it's just total madness. And they're like, Bulwer, get Bulwer. And did they really just make Van Helsing, who is going to be such a big deal later, into just this old professor who gets there too late in this movie?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And now the end is near.
This is my favorite sequence. Just her dread knowing that Orlok is coming for her.
I'm coming for you, Clara.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
That's it.
Love Night of the Living Dead.
That shot right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That shot,
Classic.
that's the most iconic shot. But this is my favorite. Just his long claw. That is my favorite shot.
Yeah, and I can guarantee with the technology they had back then, it would have taken them ages to get the light and the shadow in the right place. So that's definitely a worthy shot to love because effort went into this.
In this shot with the claw just climbing up her shirt and grabbing her heart, that is some. It is that scene with his shadow looming over Hutter earlier times 10, basically. It's that much more potent for me. Oh, and yeah, Ethel, we got to sync this movie up to Pink Floyd's The Wall and see what happens.
Oh, that would be quite cool.
Honestly, you'd have to look at lengths of albums, but it would be fun to figure out like what classic album to put over this movie, because I would go with something like Black Sabbath's debut album for this. But I don't know if it's long enough.
Oh, I just had a really bad idea.
Go for it. Tell me.
Well,
The soundtrack from the original Fantasia.
You know, if
Yeah.
Night on Bald Mountain synced up with the finale of this movie, and then you got Ave Maria at the very end, that would not be bad.
yeah.
It's just something that popped into my head because they're both roughly the same amount of time.
That would be interesting. I can totally see setting this movie to the soundtrack to Fantasia.
And we've
And it would
got
really work.
Ethel saying Black Sabbath, Sabbath.
Yep. Which album would you go with for this movie, though, of Sabbath's discography?
If we were going to go with their most unique sound where they were still being experimental, so it would go with the experimentalist of the movie, then their first album.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Actually, a long time ago, not that long ago, a couple years ago, I am on the Metal Amino app, and that is where I did most of my socializing for a long time before I was on YouTube, just chatting with people about metal music. And I would do blog posts, review albums and things there. And they did weekend challenges where they would come up with a crazy idea and see as many. It's like a lot of tag videos on YouTube, except it would only last over the weekend. That was when you had to do it.
Yeah.
And one of those challenges was to put together a metal soundtrack for a movie that you love. And I chose Nosferatu, and I compiled a playlist of what songs I thought would sync up with what scenes the best. So
I can imagine that. And Ethel has gone into chat and said, Sabbath's third time's a charm, paranoid, except Iron Man would mess it up.
Yeah.
Iron Man!
Yep, Iron Man seems a little bit too triumphant in some ways for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I am going to have to just play around with the Fantasia soundtrack and a few other things of this at some point.
That would be fun. I mean, opening up with Toccata and Fugue in D minor with this would be iconic.
Oh, if you really wanted to make it depressing, E minor.
Mm.
E minor, the key of depression. Which is kind of weird because in non-music circles, E, when it comes to manga, storytelling, comic books, E minor is the suicide note.
Ooh.
You kind of
The Greek death just comes to an end, and we get a lingering shot of the castle.
The castle that it no longer exists because of bastards.
You bastards!
You took away Olaf's castle, you bastards!
And let us thank the people who restored this movie for us so we can see it as it was meant to be seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we deserve sitting through the credits for this movie because they did a good job. They definitely did a good job.
I think with the way the song is paced, you could totally do War Pigs to this movie.
Yeah,
because it's not just it's not just about the priest. It's a talk between God and the devil, so to speak. So you could easily set War Pigs to this movie.
Although I just had a really weird idea of just taking all the clips of Count Olaf and putting them against Weird Al's White and Nerdy.
Oh my god!
Why?
Oh my god! I have to agree with the answer on this one. Why? But it does sound funny as hell.
Yes, but also no.
I was able to do something evil. Yes! Oh, but yes, that was definitely a good choice on the version of Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you will indulge me for a moment, I've pulled up my my metal movie soundtrack for Nosferatu, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on the pieces I picked, if you're familiar with the bands, because I was just...
Yeah.
I might not be familiar with the bands, but I'll be able to give you a yeah or no if I like it.
Right. Yeah. I know you're familiar with some of these because we've talked on some of them before, but
good.
I go into some weird territory sometimes. I'm an omnivore when it comes to my taste in metal. I like just about everything.
Oh, come on. You were there for my radio podcast. You know how eclectic I am.
Oh, yeah. I know.
And my taste in music, Martin.
I know. So, for my overture and opening credits, I chose Exquisite Torments Await by Cradle of Filth, which is an opening off of one of their albums.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but I can see that working.
Yeah.
And it ends on just a held out organ note that usually transitions into the next song, but would be a good segue into the next scene. And it just opens with the words, "Abandon hope, all ye who enter here," which is perfect.
Yeah, that does work, especially with the foreknowledge of anyone who crosses Count Olaf is going to be, and Count Olaf. I don't know why I want to keep on saying Olaf.
I mean,
because you've been watching Frozen reruns,
or you've been reading too much Lemony Snicket. One of the two.
Yeah.
I blame it on my niece. Frozen 1 and Frozen 2 are her favorite movies.
I mean, I don't blame her. They're good movies. They're just overplayed to,
Yeah.
3 times in one day.
Jesus. I couldn't take that. Those are really good movies, but especially the first one was just run into the ground.
Yeah. So, as my eldest niece said, I have the patience of a saint.
But following that, for the opening scene with Hutter and Ellen, just their little moment together, I chose "While Your Lips Are Still Red" by Nightwish, which is a nice little love ballad.
Oh yeah, that one would definitely work. Ouch.
For Knock and the business scene, I picked the song "The Sound of A" by Alice Cooper, which is just a creepy little number with a hint of madness to it.
Just getting the feeling that something's off here. There's no lyrics to go with it. It's just here, creepy, go forth.
Yeah. For the earlier scenes in the woods, I had picked a song that I now know is by a white supremacist, so I don't want to acknowledge that person. But I will tell you that he is a part of the original Norwegian black metal scene and part of the movie Lords of Chaos. I don't really want to acknowledge or promote his music because he kind of sucks.
No, I can understand that ideology. If you come across someone whose ideals you really do not agree with and you do not want to support, don't promote them.
Exactly.
Don't buy their stuff. And if you do need to buy their stuff just for the novelty value, go to a second-hand shop. Don't give the guy the money.
Exactly. And I thought his music was great, but his whole outlook on life just soured it for me, unfortunately. So
no, I can understand that. I can really understand that.
I can totally get behind that.
Yep. But I picked a fairly nice atmospheric song by a horrible person for that scene. Hey, Daryl, we just finished watching Nosferatu, and we're just talking about my little fan soundtrack I put together of a bunch of metal bands like years and years ago. For the breakneck carriage ride, I picked Transylvanian Hunger by Dark Throne. Nice little black metal speed number.
Yeah, and that actually goes with the atmosphere of it, especially with the title.
Mm-hmm. Then for the scene where Hutter accidentally slices his finger, I picked the song Obscura by the band Gorguts, which is a weird, dissonant death metal song that kind of feels really off-kilter and feels like something is starting to go very wrong. So for Ellen sitting on the beach, wishing that Hutter would come home, I picked The Funeral of Hearts by him. You have to put some sad goth metal.
Yeah, you got to get the feels in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Then for the scene where we first see Count Orlok coming into Hutter's room and looming over him, I picked Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath.
Good choice.
Because even the lyrics for that one just fit like a glove, I think.
Like a glove.
Then for Daryl knows what I'm talking about. Gorguts, awesome band. Really weird, dissonant, technical sound, but good stuff. I know you're a death metal fan, but I'm curious what your favorite bands are, Daryl, because I know you've talked about Cannibal Corpse and I think Morbid Angel and Napalm Death. I'd like to know more. For the ship ride, I chose the song "The Sighting is a Portent of Doom" by the band Karak Angren. They are they're a concept. They do like horror concept albums, and they did one that was basically about sort of faux historical events, and this one was about death at sea, basically, and it was a captain's log.
So that's one I haven't come across.
I definitely recommend them. They did a whole album called This Is No Fairy Tale, which is a really messed up horror black metal modern retelling of Hansel and Gretel.
Definitely something I'll be interested in.
Yeah. Then for the chase scene with Nock, I picked Bloodlust by Venom because it's fast-paced, it's a little bit humorous, and it's about vampires.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that working.
Yeah.
And then for the final scene with Ellen and Orlok's confrontation, I brought it back around with another Cradle of Filth song, Death and the Maiden, which I think kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one to end with. Definitely. especially with
I
the.
forgot. At the end of the post, I put a little. It's like a little ad blurb for staying at Count Orlok's castle as if it's a hotel, and I need to read you the reviews really quick, and then we can talk about whatever else. So it just says Orlok's castle, the land of thieves and phantoms, cozy, a horse wearing a hood, incredibly attentive staff, naive and bewildered real estate agent. A bloody good deal. Get it? Count Orlok.
Quite nice.
Yeah.
See, I would really like to see a crowdfund done for our dear friend Anthro here, where we send him to Count Dracula's castle so he can actually spend the weekend there as a hotel guest.
Please. Ooh. A lot of bands I haven't listened to in a while. I've kind of been off in my own little world of symphonic metal because that's what I'm into the most. But Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, Deicide, Gutted I have not listened to, Napalm Death, Exhumed, Dying Fetus, Suicide Silence, Cattle Decapitation, Macabre. Macabre is a cool band. They do concept albums based on actual serial killers.
Sounds like a good band I grew up with.
Mm-hmm. And General Surgery, who I'm not familiar with. Rate the burp, please.
I give it.
I didn't burp through the entire movie.
Yeah,
That's an impressive feat in and of itself.
Yes.
Yeah. I think if I was going to put one band in there that would that would probably work, and it would, and they were out again when I was in my teens, and that would be Acid Bath.
Say that again.
And you brought up a group that called Macabre that did group songs on actual serial killers.
Oh yeah, you're talking Acid Bath. Yeah.
Yes.
They did that album on Gacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they took their name from
did they even use the killer clown on the logo?
Yeah, I think they used some of Gacy's actual artwork on the album, which is messed up, but wow.
Yeah.
And they also took their name from a serial killer in England who killed people and disposed of them, and sometimes killed them by putting them into acid baths.
Crimson Concerto would be a great introduction to General Surgery. I will check that out because, again, I've been on more of a symphonic metal, gothic metal kick. I like my melodic stuff a lot, but I can enjoy a piece of brutal death metal.
And at the moment, my music, it's not so much stuff I'm listening to for strict enjoyment. I'm just trying to find loads of stuff that I can play online without being struck every time.
Mm-hmm. Well, you introduced me to Gutlocker. I really enjoyed Gutlocker.
Yeah, and I've got their permission to use any of their music. They won't flag me or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just trying to find bands that are willing to let me to do so. Although I was very tempted to do something which I think is a little extreme, but could be beneficial. Get a license to host a digital radio. So that way I could actually stream music from anyone and I'm covered, so I wouldn't have to pay out any royalties if someone said, "Here, you use my song, you owe me money." Because I don't make money. I have no money.
But I think you could definitely plug Avatar into the Nosferatu, and it would work as well.
Avatar is a cool band. You're thinking of the Swedish band, right?
Yes.
they're really good. I love them. They have a really unique melodic sound, and no one song sounds like the other.
No, they're all totally unique.
Yeah. I'm curious what Avatar song you would use in Nosferatu, because again, they're so diverse.
Huh. For the boat scene with all the rats, I would even go Sign of the Apocalypse.
Yeah, I can see that.
For the way it closes, if I'm staying on Avatar, I gotta go with Bloody Angel. And you wouldn't think that those guys would work, but their sound is so good. I can sit there and listen to those guys all day and not get tired of them.
And when I put together my own little soundtrack, I kind of tried to stay away from the obvious choices when I did the soundtrack, because Typo Negative did their own soundtrack for Nosferatu. You can find a version with their music over it. And
So you
Theater
went through
did
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
Theater de Vampire write all their songs about vampires anyway. I love them, but that would just be a little too obvious.
Yeah, too on the nose. I don't know why, but I was just thinking, in the movie where Olok gets the vision of his wife, not his wife, but you know what I mean.
But Hutter's wife.
Yeah. Can you imagine if the song in Anastasia, where it's Rasputin singing as he's walking up into the real world? Can you imagine that as he's walking away, going, "I will go out and I will find her."
If you could insert a little musical number for Orlok, they have similar mannerisms anyway, except Rasputin's actually falling apart.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see Count Orlok just break into In the Dark of the Night from Anastasia, because I love that movie and that song anyway.
Yeah, but when you hear the song, it's kind of like, oh, it's dark. Oh my god, all these creatures. And then when you watch the movie, it's these little bugs that are going, ooh, wow. It's kind of, what? We were expecting something more, and we got something.
Right, but they could take that into morbid territory easily and have like a maggot pop out of his eye and start singing. That would be beautiful.
Yeah. As he's walking around pulling himself together, bugs are falling out, and they're disgusting maggots, giant beetles, stuff like that are more grotesque and realistic, and they all start singing as they hit the floor.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, if anybody out there would like to join us for this little after chat that we're doing, I'm still leaving one spot open for Queenie Todd, who I'm not sure is awake at the moment, but if they do arrive, they are welcome in. But we have one spot open for anybody else who just wants to chat.
You might have another spot opening up in about 10 minutes, because I've got to join Trashed on his stream for his anime stream.
Oh, cool. So yeah, if anybody else wants to jump on and just chat with me for a little while, feel free.
You have 10 minutes to make up your mind. La, da, da, da.
Yep, just ask and I'll send the link. Anyway.
Yeah. Anthro's not one of those people that will turn you away. If you need a port in the storm, then he will give you conversation. He won't give you a hot drink, mainly because he can't reach that far.
If I could push a hot drink through the screen, that probably wouldn't be great for the computer.
And it might break so many rules of physics.
Yeah, breaking the rules of physics usually doesn't end well.
Yes. Ask the people who were in the Manhattan experiment. Don't poke physics. Physics pokes back.
It does more than poke, though.
Oh, true. You poke it, it decides to bring the mountain on you.
Yeah, well, I can just see Martin totally breaking the fourth wall and putting a hot drink through the computer screen.
Well, do you know what we're going to have to do one day, my dear Anthro? Just as a joke,
Yeah.
we're going to have to try and get identical cups or glasses, so that way you can reach forward and I can reach back. So it looks like we're passing it.
Yep. We should just actually
Yeah.
rehearse like a few gags to do during a stream sometime.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Because I like the chatting, I like the watching, but sometimes you got to throw something in there just to randomize stuff.
Oh my god, is everybody going to be on Marty's anime stream? Am I just going to have to go to the anime stream?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to come to the anime stream.
Oh, great. Nothing against anime. It's just some streams I can do in one day.
If it helps any, it's mainly a discussion about anime, its influence, things that we're into, and the more extreme stuff where it comes to violence, vampires. So it's like Van Helsing and stuff like that.
Well, that's another thing with me. I am very not well versed in anime for the most part. I've only seen a few things, and most of them aren't classed as anime by the purists. I know some of them technically are anime in some people's eyes, but I haven't seen that many actual Japanese anime.
Anyone who says Aang the Last Airbender is not an anime is wrong.
Right. It's that and Castlevania that are the things that the purists tend to push away, that are two of my personal favorites.
I agree with Castlevania. I like it, and as far as I'm concerned, the person who did Castlevania, isn't an anime person, isn't someone who works in an anime studio, but he did learn under someone who did anime, so he's copying their style. So it is anime.
Right.
Yeah, you can sit there and just watch episode 1 of Castlevania and see that it's anime.
Yeah,
there's just no getting around it.
But yeah, Castlevania is definitely a valid anime. If you want to chat about that, then by all means.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's only a few things I can actually chat about. I could probably list all the anime things I've seen on my fingers.
I think one day on your I'll have to invite you to my Discord, and we'll have to do a watch where we just watch animes, ones that you haven't seen but are interested in, because I know a lot of horror and vampiric ones.
Right.
They're all in English.
You know, that might be a good way to get educated. Yeah, Ethel. Maybe I will drop by then. I don't know. I do need to go and eat dinner, but if I can jump into the stream late, I might come back. We'll have to see.
Yeah, because there's only a few confirmed guests as far as I'm aware, and we know what people are like. If people turn up, great. If people don't turn up, or they have to leave early, or walk the dog, or eat the dinner, then by all means, we're not going anywhere. We will be here when you get back.
But yeah, in terms of things that I have seen besides Castlevania and Last Airbender, I have seen the original Vampire Hunter D, but nothing after that. And I've heard that Bloodlust is phenomenal, so I really need to see that one.
It is. It is a must. If you're going to start getting into anime, Vampire Hunter D and Vampire Hunter Bloodlust are great starting points. Two more that you should see are Akira and Ninja Scroll.
One of my friends was actually offering to give me a copy of Ninja Scroll at some point, so I should probably talk to him about that.
Yeah. And I will introduce you to stuff like Overlord and stuff like that.
I've heard
Overlord is a great anime.
Yeah. Oh, Overlord, the light novel, is a lot better because they go into a lot more detail about the squidginess of people. But in the anime, they have to cup it a bit, so all you see is blood and guts without the in-depth description of what they're doing. But there's definitely a character, I think, in that you would love, Anthro. Demiurge. Yeah. Demiurge is...
Go ahead, Deacon.
Oh, no, you go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say, I think we definitely got to get Anthro to see Violence Jack.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And Drifters, if possible.
Which one?
Drifters.
I think I've seen that one.
It's an isekai anime where it's people from our world being taken to a fantasy world, but it's notorious or well-known military people from throughout time being taken out from the time they die, being healed, and then put into a different world to fight either for the forces of chaos or the forces of order. It gets very bloody because you get elves, dwarfs, and everything. So it's a high fantasy blood fest.
I like that.
Filled with historical characters.
Cool. Ethel brings up Ghost in the Shell and Princess Mononoke. And I started Princess Mononoke years ago, but I was so young that I think I was watching it with my family, and they were like, this is too violent for us. So I never ended up finishing it.
Princess Mononoke is a great... It's a good story.
And I have seen a lot of the Miyazaki stuff, and all of that I've seen is amazing.
Well, we'll definitely have to do a watch along because when it comes to anime, I've got quite a collection, so I can just put the DVD box sets in and we can just watch episode after episode.
Nice.
One I'm going to have to get Martin introduced into is Fist of the North Star.
Yes. That one gets a bit... It's very traditional anime style, but uber violent.
Yes. Think of what you would get if you took Mad Max and turned it into an anime, but you put everything into the anime that the movie took out.
Or how about Oh Please Don't Make Me Cry?
That's a good one.
Yeah, that one starts off nice and friendly. If you put this one on for your parents at the age that you were when they said you're too old for this, in the first 4 episodes, they would have gone, this is fine, this is perfect for you. Left you alone. As soon as it gets to episode 5, that's where you get the occult aspect coming in. So it's basically a village where they have to sacrifice at least one person a year.
Ooh.
And they prefer outsiders. And unfortunately, a child has just moved to the area.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z Triumvirate is a good one to start on, Ethel says.
Oh, yeah, I used to love that Dragon Ball.
I could never get
always
Dragon Ball.
5 o'clock on Cotton.
One that I think Anthro could get into is Corpse Princess.
Oh, right. Oh, I have just noticed the time.
Oh.
10 to 11, so I need to jump over onto our dear Trash to stream, I'm afraid.
All right.
Hopefully I shall see you over there, and if not, if you're still going when I get back, well, after a stream, I can chat for a bit.
All right. Do you guys have to go as well, Mark?
Yeah, I'm going as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I need to call it a night as well.
If anybody is still in the chat, I will talk with them for just a little bit, but I'll see all of you guys later, and I'll see if anybody else wants to chat with me for just a little bit. So,
not a problem, dude.
Yeah.
And if you're free Friday, I would like to nab you for a Friday the 13th, the TV series watch along.
I may be able to do that. If I can't, I will at least hang out in the chat or jump on for one person's stream.
No, not a problem. It looks like it might just be on my channel, so it just might be 6 hours of us watching a TV series.
Oh jeez.
Which is fair enough.
Right.
Yeah, I might pop by at some point, maybe. Probably not like for the whole thing.
Yeah, because I'll find out what time is good for you in your part, Anthro, and then I'll time it from there.
All right. And if anyone is planning on... No, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Sorry. I just started automatically speaking. But I was about to say, I am also planning on watching that morning Friday the 13th with commentary by Sean S. Cunningham. So that's going to be fun.
Ooh, are you watching it on your own or on stream?
Just on my own in the morning. I got the disc from Netflix, so...
Oh, I don't blame you then. Well, in that case, my dear Anthro, I shall chat to you during the week, and hopefully I get to nab you on Friday.
All right.
Bye, chat. Bye, people.
See ya. Bye.
Bye, guys. All right, so it looks like it's just me here at the moment. I will stick around for just a few minutes if there is anyone out there who wants to talk. I know basically everyone has abandoned me for the Trash Picture Show's anime stream, which I do recommend checking out, but I'm willing to stay here and chat with anybody else who wants to talk for just a little bit. So if anybody out there who is still watching would like to be on the stream with me and talk, or just talk with me in the chat, let me know. In the meantime, I have no idea what to talk about. And we're at 2 viewers. Of the 2 people who are here, please let me know who you are. Don't want to just sit here and talk to nobody. So I might just sketch for a little bit. I'm probably just sitting here looking like an idiot at the moment. And at 6, if nobody comes on or wants to talk, I will just end this stream, I think. But if anybody is out there, feel free to talk for a bit. Again, sorry for the awkward silence, but whoever's watching, please let me know. And if you want to be in the chat, also please let me know. And we're down to 2 viewers again. Great. Who are the 2 people who are just watching me here sit awkwardly? Hi, Art. Everybody just kind of abandoned me for the trash picture show, so I'm willing to just chat with you for a little while. And if Queenie does show up, I will chat with them for a little while, but right now it's just me. So if you want to talk about a thing, let me know. That's the thing, Art. I think he has already started, so everyone has abandoned me, and I'm just sitting here awkwardly. Then again, maybe they're just setting up now, so don't know if he's started. But Art, if you've watched anything interesting recently or done anything cool, please let me know. I'm going to be on for, I'll say 3 more minutes. At 6 my time, I'm going to stop. All right. See ya, Arthur, if you're going. Patrick, hello. It is good to see you. It's good to see another person. Just finished watching Nosferatu, and all my guests just decided to go. I'm willing to chat with you for 2 more minutes, but at 6 my time, I'm gonna end the stream. But I'm all right. I'm a little bit tired. But I enjoyed watching Nosferatu with people in honor of Bram Stoker, and overall, it's been a pretty good day. I'm just gonna hang out and talk with you if you have anything you want to talk about. I mean, movies. I feel really awkward right now. I had other people to play off of before, and now it is just me talking to an empty screen. So I feel a little bit uncomfortable, and there have been a lot of awkward silence. Oh, how did you like The Black Cat? That is one of my favorites. It is one of the most twisted Universal horror movies of the 30s. Satanism, torture, and some amazing performances from Karloff and Lugosi. Yeah, it's good. Did you have a favorite scene? Because I really like both the end torture scene. I like the satanic ritual, which is actually just them saying random Latin words, and I really like the chess scene. The chess scene is fun. I am too. I'm also mad at him for killing the cat, but the cat refuses to actually die. It just keeps coming back. And no, I don't think it's just a bunch of different cats. It's the same cat. It is the cat that refuses to die in my eyes. But it is 6 o'clock now, so I am probably going to end the stream here. So thank you again to everyone who came. Check out Trash Picture Show's anime stream happening now. Oh, Easy Bake Coven. Hello. I was literally about to end the stream, but glad to see you. All my guests have gone over to the Trash Picture Show's anime stream. They're just talking different animes right now. But I don't have any guests on, and I feel kind of weird talking to air, even if I do have people watching the stream. So I am going to end it here. Maybe I will join the Trash Picture Show. Maybe I'll do my own little after party if I still have people who want to stream with me. But for now, I'm just going to end this. I'm going to eat some supper, and I'm going to do some chores. So thank you to everyone who came. Happy birthday to Bram Stoker, and bye.